The auditorium erupted in laughter. A dozen wealthy students leaned back in their seats, smirking as the microphone was shoved toward the quiet boy standing alone on stage. "Go on," one of them mocked loudly. "Tell us how you earned your scholarship, or did someone pity you?" More laughter. The boy didn't answer. He just stood there, thin backpack on his shoulder, eyes lowered, expression unreadable. And that silence made them laugh even harder. But what nobody in that room realized was that in less than 10 minutes, every single one of them would stop laughing. Completely. His name was Arif, 17 years old, wearing the same faded uniform every day, carefully washed but clearly old. He didn't belong in this school. Everyone knew it. His shoes were worn at the edges. His backpack had a broken zipper held together with a safety pin. He never joined conversations, never joined parties, never joined anything. While other students arrived in luxury cars with chauffeurs waiting outside, Arav walked 3 kilometers every morning, rain or shine. And every time he entered the school gates, whispers followed him. Scholarship kid, charity admission, free seat. He never reacted. But silence does not mean weakness. It means something is being stored, something deeper, something no one understands yet. At the center of the auditorium sat the elite group, the sons and daughters of businessmen, politicians, and real estate giants. Especially Rian Malhotra, the unofficial ruler of the school. He had everything: money, influence, and protection from consequences, and a habit of breaking people emotionally for entertainment. He leaned forward, smiling as the principal nervously introduced Arif as the National Scholarship recipient. Rian chuckled. "A scholarship student?" he said loudly. "At this school? That's like putting a bicycle in a racing circuit." Laughter exploded again. Teachers looked away. No one stopped it. Because here, power wasn't in rules. It was in family names. And Arif's name had none. Rian stood up slowly. He walked toward the stage, each step echoing louder than the laughter itself. He stopped right in front of Arif and tilted his head. "Tell me," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "What does it feel like, knowing you're here because of charity?" Arif didn't respond. Rian smirked and turned to the crowd. "He probably thinks he belongs here." More laughter. Someone in the back shouted, "He probably cleans classrooms better than he studies in them." The auditorium roared. Arif's fingers tightened slightly around his backpack strap. But still, he said nothing. And that silence irritated Rian more than any insult ever could. So he grabbed the microphone. "Let's test him," Rian announced. He turned toward the principal. "Ask him one question. If he gets it wrong, we all know why he's here." The principal hesitated, then reluctantly nodded. A teacher stepped forward and opened a document on the screen behind them. A complex national-level scholarship audit question appeared. Mathematics, funding structure, allocation systems. Even most teachers didn't fully understand it. Rian smiled confidently. "He'll fail in 5 seconds." Arav looked at the screen. For the first time, he lifted his eyes. And something subtle changed in the room. His expression wasn't fear. It was recognition, like reading something he had written himself. He took the microphone and answered, calmly, flawlessly, step by step, breaking down equations no student should casually understand. The room slowly quieted. Even the laughter died mid-breath. Rian's smile faded. But what came next wasn't the end of humiliation. It was the beginning of collapse. "Wrong," Rian said quickly, trying to recover control. "He's guessing." Then another. Then another. Whispers spread. "No, he's correct. That's the exact methodology from the National Funding Framework." The principal stepped closer to the screen. His face changed. Confusion, then shock. Because the answer wasn't just correct. It was perfect. Arav wasn't guessing. He was reconstructing the entire scholarship system in real time. Like someone who had built it before. Rian stepped back slightly, for the first time unsure. But he forced a laugh. "So what? One lucky answer doesn't." "Enough." A voice interrupted. Not loud, but heavy enough to freeze the entire hall. The auditorium doors opened. 3 people entered. Formal suits, government insignias, scholarship board officials. And the entire atmosphere changed instantly. Teachers stood up. Principal straightened. Even Rian stopped speaking. The lead official looked at the screen, then at Arif, and slowly said, "We've been looking for him." Murmurs erupted. Rian blinked. "Looking for him?" The official nodded. Yes. He raised a file. This student is not just a scholarship recipient. He is the primary evaluator and anonymous architect of the national scholarship distribution system. Silence. Pure silence. The kind that feels physical. Rion laughed nervously. That's impossible. But the official didn't stop. He redesigned the entire funding algorithm at 15 years old under a government research program. And every year since, he has anonymously funded and corrected the system from behind the scenes. The camera seemed to tighten on Arif. Still standing. Still calm. But now, everything had changed. The official turned to the room. And this school, he paused, is currently operating on a funding model he personally approved. The words landed like thunder. Rion's face drained of color. What? The official continued. Every scholarship student here, including administrative salaries, infrastructure funding, he looked at Arif, exists because of him. The silence exploded into shock. Students looked around in disbelief. Teachers whispered urgently. The principal stepped back as if the ground shifted beneath him. Rion shook his head violently. No, this is some kind of mistake. He's just a poor kid. Arif finally spoke. Softly, but clearly. I didn't come here to be recognized. I came here to observe the system I built, being misused. The words hit harder than any shout. The entire auditorium froze. Then Arif turned his head slightly toward Rion. And I've seen enough. Rion tried to speak, but nothing came out. For the first time in his life, he had no audience. No laughter. No support. Just silence. Heavy. Judgmental. Final. The officials stepped forward. Mr. Malhotra, one of them said coldly, your family's sponsorship influence on this institution is now under review. Security personnel entered the hall. Not for Arif. For Rion. Students stood up in shock as the reality settled in. The king of the school had no throne anymore. And Arif? He had not moved an inch. The assembly slowly emptied. Whispers replaced laughter. Shock replaced arrogance. And silence replaced cruelty. Arif walked down from the stage. No celebration. No smile. No revenge speech. Just footsteps echoing through a now empty hall. The official approached him quietly. You could have exposed this earlier, he said. Arif looked forward. I didn't need to. A pause. I just needed them to reveal themselves. He adjusted his backpack. The same broken strap. The same worn shoes. But now, they looked different. Not weak. Not poor. Just unchanged. Outside, the sunlight hit the school gates. The same gates he had walked through quietly every day. But today, no one laughed when he passed. Because today they finally understood. Power doesn't always enter loudly. Sometimes, it sits quietly in the back of the room and lets the world expose itself. And in a school built on status, the quietest student became the reason everything changed.